Level 1. You count it out on the kitchen table at 11 at night, and you count it twice because the number does not feel real. $41,000, every dollar you have ever saved in one envelope, and it is still not enough, so you borrow $9,000 more from your brother and promise him a key he will never use. The duplex sits on Larkin Street, brown brick going soft at the mortar, a dip in the upstairs floor you can feel through your shoes, a flat roof that drinks every storm the sky has. The inspector sucks his teeth and says, honestly, he would not. You buy it anyway. The math works as long as nothing breaks, and you are young enough to believe nothing ever will. Your first tenant is a night nurse named Dana Reyes. She pays $875 on the first of the month, a money order tucked inside a Christmas card envelope, in March, slid under your door while you sleep. You fix the dip in the floor yourself that night, on your knees, a headlamp clamped in your teeth, learning the underside of a house that is somehow yours. One door, you feel enormous. Nobody tells you the doors swing both ways. Level 2. 4 doors now, you pulled the equity out of Larkin Street, and the same bank that would not return your calls a year ago suddenly wants to buy you lunch. A fourplex on Cyrus Avenue, $1,990 a month in rent. A number that makes you laugh out loud alone in your car. You stop laughing at Unit 3. His name is Marcus. He loses the warehouse job in October, and you watch it happen one text at a time. The apology, the half payment, the no payment, the curtain in the front window that stops opening at noon. You knock with a folder in your hand and a speech you rehearsed in the shower, and he answers holding his daughter on his hip, and you give him another month because you are not a monster, then another month. Then a lawyer explains, gently, what mercy costs per unit, per year. And you sign the form, and a sheriff you have never met sets a stranger's couch on the curb on a cold Tuesday morning while you stay home and do not watch. You learned a number at this level. It is how many months you can afford to be kind before the building stops paying for itself. You write it on a yellow sticky note. You never have to look at it again. Level 3. 20 doors. You quit the day job on a Friday and nobody at the office claps because nobody there knows the quiet man in accounting quietly owns half a street across town. You cannot turn every wrench yourself anymore, so you hire a property manager named Priya Nair, 15 years in the trade, a labeled binder for every building, a phone voice that makes contractors show up before 9. You buy a white truck, mostly for the logo on the door. You learn the words that move money, cap rate, debt service, cash on cash, and you say them now like you were raised saying them. Your spreadsheet grows tabs, and the tabs grow tabs of their own. Rent arrives while you are asleep. The first time you watch a deposit land at 3 in the morning, real money you did not lift a single finger that day to earn, something in your chest goes cold and bright at the very same time. This, you think. This is the thing they keep from everybody. You close on 2 more buildings before the snow melts. The doors swing both ways. You are still not listening. Level 4, 140 doors, and a name now, a real one, painted in gold on glass. Harlow Residential. Yours. The bank hands you a line of credit with a comma in it and a handshake from a man whose watch costs more than your first 3 cars together. You refinance Larkin Street for the 4th time and pull the gains out like water from a well that has always refilled. Leverage, your accountant calls it, the polite word for owing money brilliantly. Every building you buy leans on the building before it, a ladder built out of other ladders, and from up here, it does not look like a ladder at all. It looks like a view. You stop knowing your tenants by name. There are simply too many of them. They turn into unit numbers, into ledger rows, into a satisfaction score Priya reports to you each quarter. You tell a magazine, on the record, that you are in the business of building communities. The reporter writes it down word for word. Under the lights, in the green room, you almost believe it. Level 5. 260 doors, and the tower is the one that finally makes the number round. Glass and balconies on the riverside, your name on the lease that every single tenant signs, a ribbon you cut with a pair of scissors too big to be real. The mayor comes and finds you for a photo. People who would not have rented you that first duplex 8 years ago press their cards into your hand now and hold the handshake a half second too long. You own the skyline you used to ride the bus beneath. At the launch party, you find a dark window away from the noise, and you look down at all the lights, and you wait to feel the thing that all of this was supposed to finally buy. You lift your phone and take a photo of the view so that later you will remember exactly how this moment felt. It does not come. You feel the cold and the bright again, and somewhere underneath it, just for a second, the soft dip in an upstairs floor on Larkin Street and a night nurse's money order inside a Christmas card. Then the music swells back up. You lift your glass. You sign for 3 more buildings that quarter, all of it on debt, because the well has always refilled. The well does not refill in March. It begins somewhere you will never see, a decision in a room you will never be allowed to enter, and it reaches you as a single letter in the mail. The balloon payment on the tower is due in 90 days. $11 million. The The kind of number that was a formality back when money was cheap and the future was a thing that simply kept arriving. You go in to refinance, the move you have made 14 times, the move that has never once failed you. The man with the expensive watch does not call you back. Then 3 of your anchor buildings empty out at once. A factory closes across the river and takes 400 paychecks down with it, and 400 paychecks were your tenants. Vacancy is only a word until it is a whole floor of dark windows you are still paying to heat. The rent stops coming in while you sleep. The mortgages do not care at all that you are asleep. You sell Cyrus Avenue to make the tower payment, and you sell it frightened, which buyers can smell from across a parking lot, so it goes for less than you still owe on it. You sell the next one faster and worse. Leverage. You finally learn means the exact same speed in both directions. The ladder made of other ladders comes down the way it went up, except that gravity was always quicker than you ever were. Priya leaves first, with a hug, her binder, and a job offer from somebody still solvent. The sign company comes for the gold glass last. You stand on the sidewalk in a coat that no longer fits the man inside it, and you watch them peel Harlow off the tower one letter at a time, the H, the A, until the name is only a paler shadow on the stone, and then it is not even that. The building everyone signed for becomes, once again, a building that belongs to someone else. Your brother calls that week, not about the $9,000 you never quite finished paying back, just to ask if you are doing okay, and you find you cannot make your mouth form the answer. You add up what is left at the same kitchen table. It does not take an envelope to hold it. On Larkin Street, 8 years and 1 entire life later, a young woman counts it out at 11 at night, and she counts it twice because the number does not feel real. Every dollar she has ever saved in one envelope, and so she will borrow the rest and promise someone a key. The duplex has a new soft dip in the upstairs floor and the same flat roof that still drinks every storm. The inspector sucks his teeth and says, honestly, he would not. She buys it anyway. That first night, she gets down on her knees with a headlamp in her teeth, learning the underside of a house that is suddenly hers, and she feels enormous. One door. The ladder's patient. It has all the time in the world, and it has always refilled. Hey, thank you for staying all the way to the end of that one. It genuinely means more than you know. If you have ever held the keys to something that slowly started to hold you instead, tell me about it down in the comments. I actually read them. I will see you in the next video.